Hi friends, welcome to you all. Today we are here to discuss about a new topic, the name of which is structure of a seed. In my previous lecture I have already discussed about reproduction in plants. So continuing our discussion further, let us now discuss about the structure of a seed. Structure of a seed. See, we all know that reproduction in flower starts with the flowering of a flower, and we also know that there are two kinds of flower, unisexual as well as bisexual. Unisexual flowers possesses only one reproductive system, either male or either female, and bisexual or the hermaphrodites are the types of flower which possesses both the kinds of sex organ, that is male as well as female. Okay, male reproductive system consists of stamen. Stamen consists of anther and filament. Stamen consists of anther and filament, and the female reproductive system, which is known as carpel or pistil, consists of stigma, style and ovary. Okay, so let us start our discussion. Okay, first of all let us have a quick look of the things which we have discussed in my previous lecture. Okay, so fertilization in plants starts with the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to stigma. We all know that anther consists of, or anther contains the pollen grains. So fertilization in flower starts with the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma, and from stigma the pollen grain passes through style. Style is a tubular structure which joins stigma to ovary. Okay, so the pollen grains from here passes through the style, and then finally the pollen grains fertilizes the egg cell which is present within the ovary, and after fertilization we can clearly see that ovule is developed. Ovule is a structure which is modified into seed, and ovary modifies to form the fruit. Okay, the ripened fruit contains several seeds inside it, or we can say that a ripened fruit encloses many seeds inside it. Okay, so after discussing the fertilization and the formation of the seed in this diagram, we will now discuss the different structures which are present in a seed. So this seed is a seed of a dicot plant. The seed which we can see clearly on the board is an example of a dicot seed. Okay, so now let us discuss different parts which are constituting this seed. Okay, so first of all, see, these parts are known as cotyledons. Okay, this is also known by the name of endosperm. Okay, endosperm because this is the nutritious part of a seed which is made up of starch. This is made up of starch, and it provides nutrition to the plant until it enables itself for the process of photosynthesis. it provides, means endosperm provides the plant with the nutrition until the plant is able to do the process of photosynthesis. Okay, till then endosperm provides the plant with the nutrition for the growth and development of a plant. After discussing cotyledons, see, here I have mentioned the name of micropyle. Here is the structure, miniature opening. Here is present a miniature opening, the name of which is micropyle. Here also I have given the name micropyle, the same thing. Okay, so the function of micropyle is to, since it is a minute opening, means it is a tiny pore through which water passes into the seed to provide the sufficient amount of water for the process of germination of a seed. Okay, so this is the pore or miniature opening through which seed is able to absorb water for the process of germination. Okay, and after this seed, this is this structure, means outer covering of a seed, or we can say that outer covering of the cotyledons. This one is what? Testa. Testa is a outer protective layer which protects not only the seed from getting damaged, but it also saves or protects the embryo, okay, from getting damaged. Okay, after discussing the outer protective layer, now let us discuss the different parts of an embryo which is present inside a seed. So this is radicle, this part, or we can say that the lowermost portion of an embryo is known as radicle. Okay, this structure, this radicle, this structure develops in the form of root which goes below the soil. This radicle goes below the soil in the form of root. Okay, and just above the radicle there is a structure known as hypocotyle. Okay, hypocotyle, and then above the hypocotyle there is a structure which is called epicotyle. Okay, and there is one another structure known as plumule. Okay, so now let us start with the hypocotyle, because radicle I have already discussed that it forms the roots of a plant. So hypocotyle ends with radicle. This hypocotyle, which is present just below epicotyle and above the radicle, it ends with the radicle. Hypocotyle. Ends with radicle, and it is this hypocotyle which raises the seed or cotyledons above the ground under the process known as epigeal growth of a plant. Okay, hypocotyle raises the seed above the ground under the epigeal growth. And reverse to hypocotyle is the function of epicotyle. Okay, epicotyle ends with the plumule. Epicotyle ends with plumule. Okay, see, up till here it the structure of epicotyle is present. Okay, so epicotyle lies between the plumule and hypocotyle. Epicotyle lies between plumule and hypocotyle. So its function is that hypocotyle ends with the plumule, and its main function is that it raises the plumule above the ground in hypogeal growth. See, in the case of hypocotyle, we have discussed that hypocotyle raises the seed above the ground under the epigeal growth, and epicotyle raises the plumule. This is epicotyle and it raises the plumule above the ground in hypogeal growth. Okay, these things will be clear. I will show these things by diagram. Okay, so before making the diagram, to understand the function of epicotyle and hypocotyle, let me first discuss about plumule. See, plumule develops to become the shoot of a plant. It means it develops above the ground surface, okay, in the form of stem, leaves and flowers. And this is the plumule which is equipped with the process of photosynthesis, okay, because this lies just above the ground surface, and it also possesses stem and leaves are necessary for the process of photosynthesis. We all know that. So therefore we can say that plumule develops in the direction of the sunlight, or we can say that in other words that plumule is phototropism. Okay, means it grows in the direction of the sunlight. Okay, and this structure is also known as geotropism because this develops in the direction opposite to the direction of the gravitational force of the earth. Okay, so I have already discussed that epicotyle raises the plumule above the ground in the hypogeal growth of a plant. So let me illustrate these things or make you and people understand these things with the help of a diagram, so that you people will be able to grasp the things easily. Okay, so see. Now see, this is ground surface. Ground surface. This is root. Cotyledon. epiphyseal growth of a plant. This is the figure. Hypophyseal growth of a plant. See, we can easily understand the function of hypocotyle and epicotyle of an embryo with the help of this figure, which is a figure of the dicot plant. Okay, so see, we can clearly look at this figure that this is the ground surface, this position is the ground surface. Okay, and this is the figure for the hypocotyle. Okay, hypocotyle, this is plumule, this is plumule, here also this is plumule. So these figures are plumule. Okay, see, and I have already discussed that hypocotyle raises the cotyledons or the seeds above the ground surface in the epiphyseal kind of growth for a plant. Okay, and epicotyle also I have discussed that for the in the type of epicotyle, it raises the plumule, means shoot, just above the ground surface, but the cotyledons are buried beneath the soil, means below the ground surface. Okay, in the hypogeial growth, epicotyle raises the plumule above the ground in the hypogeial growth of a plant. Okay, so see, first let me explain that. See, this is the figure for hypocotyle, and this is the figure for epicotyle. For epicotyle there is hypogeial growth, and for hypocotyle there is epigeial growth. So let me first explain the meaning of epigeial and hypogeial, as I have written here also that hypogeial and epigeial. So see, epi means above, epi means above, and hypo means below. So if the cotyledons is above the ground surface, then it is known as epigeial, and if the cotyledons is below the earth, below the ground surface, then it is known as hypogeial kind of growth. Okay, so we can clearly see in this figure also, this is a figure for epigeial growth of a plant. Okay, so see, cotyledons is just above the hypocotyle. This is our hypocotyle. In this figure, this is our hypocotyle. It extends from here to here up to radicle. Hypocotyle ends with the radicle. Okay, and epicotyle ends with the from here to here. From the above end of the hypocotyle, epicotyle raises. Epicotyle leads to the development of plumule. So see, this is our hypocotyle. In the case of epigeial growth, this is hypocotyle, which is this one, from radicle to hypocotyle. This one is hypocotyle, and this is above the ground, and cotyledons is here. Cotyledons is given here, and epicotyle, and then this plumule. It means plumule includes not only the stem, but it also includes leaves and flowers. Okay, and in the case of hypogeial growth, the cotyledons is buried below the ground. Okay, so now let me discuss about the plumule. This structure is left, that is plumule. Okay, see, there is one more structure which I have left, that is hilum. See, this is the structure. This is the structure known by the name of hilum. Hilum. This is, we can say that a scar or remnant. A scar or remnant. This hilum is a scar or remnant of the stack. Okay, stack, which joined the ovule with the ovary. Okay, hilum, it joined hilum, a scar or a remnant of the stack present on the seed which joined ovule with ovary. So the hilum is a scar or the remnant which is of a stack which joined the ovule with the ovary. Okay, means it joined the seed with the fruit. Okay, in other term, hilum is the structure. Hilum was a structure which is now in the remnant form, or we can say it is just like a scar on the seed which joined the seed with the fruit, ovule to ovary. Okay, now see, we have to explain this one, plumule. See, we have already discussed that hypocotyl ends with the radicle. Radicle develops into root, and epicotyl ends with the plumule. Plumule is a structure which grows above the ground surface, and it develops as a shoot. Okay, and it includes all the parts of a shoot like leaves, stem and fruits. This is phototropism, means, see, plumule is phototropism and geotropism. See, tropism means it bends in the same direction, in the direction of the stimuli. Okay, means external force. So phototropism means, photo means light, so plumule grows in the direction of the light. Okay, or we can say that the shoot bends in the direction through which it receives light for the process of photosynthesis. Okay, and geotropism, it grows, geo means earth. Okay, and it grows against the, because plumule includes the shoot which rises above the ground, So geotropism means it grows against the force of gravity. Okay, means aerial part of the plant, which is plumule, grows against the gravity. Okay, and its only radical develops into root. These are parts of an embryo which are present in the diploid seed. Okay, so the part of the embryo are radical, hypocotyle, epicotyle, okay, plumule and endosperm. It provides the nutrition for the growth of a plant until it attains the ability to make their own food through the process of photosynthesis. Okay, so plumule is phototropism, geotropism. It includes stem, leaves and flowers. Means shoot of a plant. It forms the photosynthetic structure of a plant. It forms photosynthetic structures of a plant. See, after discussing the parts of a seed which is necessary for the development of a plant, we will now discuss the dispersal of a seed and why the dispersal of seed is necessary. Okay. See, after discussing the structure of a seed, we will now discuss the dispersal of a seed. Dispersal of a seed. So, before discussing the dispersal of a seed, the two things or the two questions which arises in our mind is that what is the dispersal of seed and why is it necessary? Okay, what is seed dispersal? And the second question, that why is it necessary? And the third question, agents of seed dispersal. So under this heading, that is dispersal of seed, we are to discuss about the three questions, that what is seed dispersal, why is it necessary, and what are the agents of seed dispersal. So first of all, I would like to discuss the first question, that is what is seed dispersal. Okay, seed dispersal is the scattering of seed from one place to another place, or we can say that seed dispersal is the transfer of seed from one place to another place. Okay, so dispersal of seed is transfer or scattering of seed from one place to another. And the next question is, why is it necessary? Say there are two main causes due to which dispersal of seed is necessary. So the number one cause is that if the seed is not dispersed, then there will be a strong competition among the seeds themselves for the growth and for acquisition of necessary things which are needed for the growth and development of a plant, like sunlight, water and carbon dioxide. If the seeds are not dispersed thoroughly, then there will be a tough competition among the seeds among themselves for the acquisition of the things which are necessary for the growth and development of a plant. Those things are sunlight, water and carbon dioxide. Okay, and the second, this is the number one cause which makes it necessary for a seed to be dispersed. The number second is that if the seed is thoroughly dispersed, then the places which receives or gets the seed of a given species, then it will increase the biodiversity of the place where it has been transferred. It adds up or increases the biodiversity of the place where it has been transferred. So these are the two reasons. That is why dispersal of seed is necessary. Number one is that there will be a tough competition for the acquisition of the things which are required for the proper growth and development of a plant, that is sunlight, water and CO2. And the number second is that it will add up or increases the biodiversity of the given place where the seed has been transferred. Now let me explain our next question, which is agents of seed dispersal. See, there are several agents which scatter the seeds from one place to another place. Okay, these agents are wind. Number one is wind. Number second is water. Number third is dispersal of seed through explosion. Dispersal of seed. Number fourth is dispersal of seed through animals and birds. So let me illustrate this by giving some examples. Okay, so first of all let me rub this. See, number one is dispersal of seed by wind. Okay, so example of this includes orchid, maple, cotton, milkweed, and by the agent of water, the seeds which are dispersed are coconut, water lily. Dispersal of seed through explosion. The example of this one includes pea, lady's finger, and mistletoe. Dispersal of seed through animals and birds includes the seeds, the example of which are blackberry, cherry, tomatoes. And apart from these kinds of agents, there are two more. Dispersal of winged fruits. Dispersion of winged fruits. Example: clematis, and thistle. And the last one is dispersal by gravity. Example of this includes apple, camelina, coconut, etc. See, these are the examples of fruit and the seeds which are dispersed by some of the agents. Number one is wind. Okay, the seeds which are light in weight are dispersed by the wind. Example of which is dandelion, orchid, maple, cotton, and milkweed. These seeds are light in weight, hence these are carried away by winds. Okay. Number second is the example of water, and through water seeds like cotton and water lily, seeds of coconut, and or you can say that through water acts as agent for the transfer of coconut and water lily. Now, dispersal of seed through explosion. Here the seeds like the fruits of seeds like pea, lady's finger, and mistletoe are dispersed by the act of explosion or bursting of their pods. The seeds of these fruits are kept within the pod-like structure, which is outer covering. We can see in the case of pea also. Okay, so these the seeds like peas, lady's finger, mistletoe are enclosed within a pod like a structure, which is outer covering. Okay, so here is one exception. In the case of mistletoe, the seeds of mistletoe are carried up to a minimum distance of 15 meters. 15 meters. Once the fruits of mistletoe plants gets ripened, its seeds gets carried away up to a minimum distance of 15 meters through the process of explosion of their pods or bursting of their pods. Now the next example is dispersal of seed through animals or birds. The example of which is blackberry, cherry, and tomatoes. Okay, and there are two more examples: dispersal of winged fruits, clematis and thistle. And the other example is dispersal of gravity. The example of which is apple, camelina, and coconut. Here it is given the dispersal of winged fruits. Means these fruits have wing-like structure present. Therefore, these fruits are carried away by the air. Okay, winged fruits are carried away by air due to the presence of wing-like structure. So this was topic which we have discussed today. Okay, in the next class we will discuss on some new topic. Okay, so thank you for now.